Okay, wow. All right. Looks like we're live. Looks like we did it, friends. Okay, we're back yet again. So, a little bit of a different stream today, guys. I'm visiting home here in Bermuda. So, for those of you who didn't know, I grew up in Bermuda for the most part. So, it's a little island. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The point being is that that's where I am right now. So, I hope the connection holds up. I hope the connection holds up. I hope my audio isn't too bad. I did a little check before just to see like, does this sound good? I turned off the AC, so no AC for me, guys. Which is like, listen, that it's a big deal, just for the improved audio. So just know that I'm sacrificing for you guys, so you have a more pleasant experience here, I guess. So I have been on a little bit of a sabbatical, I guess. It's been a couple weeks since I don't know, I've hopped on live. A lot to update on. We did the shape design workshop, the free shape design workshop. Big congratulations to everybody who was able to attend that. Sorry for those who missed it. It was like so cool. It was such a blast. I was really happy to be able to do that. And again, really big thank you for hitting 10K. I like can't believe it. I think the subscribers shot up another like 300 like right after, which was nuts. So that's kind of crazy. I haven't felt like I've been able to stream here since I've been here in Bermuda. I've been here for a couple weeks. I'm going to be here for about another week as well. So it's like, it's been dicey. Let's just say that. A lot of stuff to take care of. I've been doing a lot of passport stuff. Gosh, what am I even talking about? Guys, we're doing art today. We're art stuffing today. So I was working on these faces yesterday. I took a bit of a digital art break and I was just drawing traditional, which was a total fun blast. And then I hopped back into Photoshop. It was kind of like an impulse where I was like, all right, let's just try some stuff. So I did these kind of quick sketches in about one session where I just drew the lines, painted them in. They went really well, which I'm really pleased about. And what I like the most about these drawings is that when I went in with the actual line art, you can see that it's like the line art is very minimal, like very, very minimal, which is awesome. Um, because I get to say a lot more with the color when I go in. And so for me, I've been really prioritizing like flexing a lot of the knowledge that I've been accumulating and accruing over the past couple of years. I've been teaching a ton. It's really pushed me to the next level, my next level, which has been amazing. So I've been putting some of those new techniques into my employ and focusing a lot on the things that I care about now, which is great. One thing that's great about teaching is you kind of realize what you care about, which is cool because it's what you tend to focus on when you're working with people. So I did these phases, which felt really good. And then, as I was in the workflow, I'm like, let's do some more Sky Pirates. So I threw these faces down. Again, the line drawings here, some of them are a little bit more complex. Like I put in a little bit more effort to kind of judge some of these drawings. And I don't think like I pushed myself to, it just kind of happened. Like I just kind of wanted to, and I just really felt like it. So putting the color in was super intuitive. The one I'm the most happy with is definitely this guy right here. Love this guy, but even more than this guy, I really like this lady and how she turned out. This was, I think, the culmination of a lot of different things I've been practicing, and it kind of just flowed out in a good way, which is nice. So that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about embracing freedom a little bit. I'll talk a little bit about how my personal process has evolved over time, specifically with how I draw and with how I paint as well, because there's been a lot of ups and downs there for me personally. So now it's a good time for me to check the chat. So, oh, sweet. Some of you guys are tuning in. I know it's like a late night stream, so, you know, Lord knows if you guys are awake or not. I see Aurora's is in the chat. What up, Aurora's? How's it going? Cool, cool, cool. But yeah, typically whenever I stream at night, it's like eventually the Aussies find me, the Australians find me, man. Um, Man, I felt extra bad recently because apparently like more Australian people are finding my channel. I mean, there was a while where like a bunch of Germans were following or were finding the channel, which is kind of cool. Shout out to Germany, my Deutschland homies. Uns Party Berlin, let's go. But yeah, the Australians have found the channel, which is which is great. But it's kind of sad because I keep getting these comments and messages of people kind of being like, "I can't make the lives." It's like I can't make these live streams, man. They're in the middle of the night. What are we gonna do? So there you go. Oh my gosh, what up, Taz? How's long time no see? Welcome to the chat. Welcome, welcome. Where it says I'm off work and my power shuts off in 2 hours. Oh, perfect. I usually stream for about 2 hours, so you're safe. But yeah, so these are the drawings that I was working on today. These guys here. So one thing to kind of take note here is there's been a long time for me where my process for kind of finishing a sketch has been really all over the place. You know, sometimes I do the Nicholas Cole method where I kind of put in some local values with maybe a couple kind of tonal gradients or something, and then jump right in with the multiply layer, lay down all the shadow into the form, and then I'll go in and do some like material, specular highlight stuff and everything. But I'll tell you guys, for these ones, I just painted everything straight, like no effects layers. I didn't use any multiply, any color dodge. I didn't use anything. It was just all, from the noggin space here. So the things that I'm paying attention to when I'm painting faces like this and kind of making it chill and kind of cool is I'm tracking the local value of each element of the face. And I'm making sure that the shadow values are appropriately connected to the local value. So like what that means is, for instance, if I go black and white with a face like this, the local value of the skin tone is just a little bit lighter than the nose. Not by much, but just a little bit. You can see that tonal difference, which means the shadow values are going to be a little bit different too for the shading on the nose versus the shading on like the cheekbone. And even this is maybe potentially a little bit dark. And another thing that's really fun to do with skin in particular is that skin is usually affected by a lot of material modifiers. So like, what do I mean by material modifiers? Well, your skin kind of has oil on it, which means it can become a little bit reflective. So when it becomes a little bit reflective, that's when you get those nice kind of bright highlights and those like really glinting highlights. So what I've been doing is I've been making sure that when I have two edges meet, like two kind of convex edges meet, I like to imagine that wherever the light source is, it's really catching right here. Because usually it's maybe whatever facet is facing up, like right along here is where it's catching. So what that means is around like this area right in the corner of the mouth where those kind of forms turn, right on those creases of the eye, right underneath, right before the form turns into another convex shape. So like those are things that I'm focusing on with these, but in a very loose way. Like I'm not paying crazy close attention. I'm not being like a stickler about it. I'm just kind of painting in sort of what makes sense. Also, what I've learned, I'll tell you guys over the past couple of years, man, is that if you really pay attention and really focus on the local values of what you're doing, um, and learn like how those local values of what you're doing relate to the lighting scenario that you're trying to describe, you'll get really strong, convincing results, which is great when you're doing stuff like this, which is cool. Um, yeah. Taz says, saw you live and was like, oh, nice. I think you have a cord on your hand hitting the mic. Oh, you know what? That might just be my pinky. Oh, goodness gracious, guys. I'm so sorry. So sorry for the poor audio today. It's really, honestly, it's not the best, I gotta say. It's not the best. I'm wondering if there's a better audio option out there. I think, I have like maybe I could try something, maybe if I try to stream again, but it's definitely my pinky touching the mic. Let me see. It's like there, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's my finger. They put the microphone and like the speaker grill on the left side of my laptop. So like that's right where my hand is for Control Z. So it's definitely like I'm tapping the mic. Oh, that must be so annoying for you guys. I'm so sorry. What up, Nabs? How's it going? Audio sounds really good. Awesome, awesome. I watch a YouTuber puts his mic in a tissue box. Hey, fair enough, man. Whatever works. All right, let's do some drawing. Another thing about the mobile setup here for me is that I can't really see the chat. I wonder, can I pull up on my phone? Will that work? Maybe that'll work. Let me try that. Maybe that'll maybe that'll be good. Who knows? Let's see here. Man, quick shout out to Steven Zapata's few new videos. He's been, kind of spitting pure bars when it comes to art discourse and whatnot, which has been really great. It's been great to see. Okay, sweet. I've got the chat open on my phone. I hope this stays on. So now I can read. Guys, we're basically gamers. So another reason I haven't been live very much recently is because of Silksong, obviously. Have you guys been playing Silksong? I just got to Act 3. Oh my God. It's crazy. I had a suspicion. I was like, that final boss was kind of easy. What's going on? Why was that final boss so easy? I don't know if you guys experienced that, but dude, Act 3 is a whole other thing, man. So yeah, so I've been drawing faces, having fun. I even pushed this one to a whole other level. I can kind of open up. I just posted this on Instagram, which I'm finally gonna start using Instagram again, guys. Instagram is back. It's on my up and up, jam. It's on my up and coming things that I like is Instagram. I used to hate Instagram, and I realized the reason that I didn't like Instagram is because I was being a little inauthentic with myself on there. I wasn't really showing what I liked, and I just had a real serious like art block, I think, for a long time. So I jammed this post today. So I broke this up into kind of like a three tile thing, which is kind of fun. But what's cool is I'm imagining these characters for the indie game that I'm developing a pitch for with my Sky Pirate stuff. That these are like different kind of lieutenants that you could hire onto your crew. So the idea is that you have your like main airship essentially. You have like your main kind of thing that you've got going on. Um, and then you can bring like little guys in. So like at a certain chapter, you kind of unlock these very like grisly, grueling pirate guys. So you would have like, your airship, you know what I mean, which is yours, and then you'd have like a little extra gunship or like a transport ship or like a boarding ship. And you would kind of add to your fleet, and these guys would kind of command those extra ships. So I'm thinking like this guy, maybe he's got like a sweet gunship to add to your fleet. So he's like, you really want to recruit this guy, but it comes at a cost kind of vibe. This guy is like granting intimidation. The maybe your prey or the people that you're in combat with, the NPCs. Maybe they're more likely to surrender. If he's making the threats. This guy maybe gives you extra gun damage, but maybe reduces accuracy. Like if you're firing your cannons or something, maybe it's like they're kind of going every which way, but they have increased damage. I'm thinking this lady maybe gives you like an extra boarding party. So when you like board a ship, you just have like double the manpower. Maybe she's got like a sick crew of like sky pirates that are at her command, and then like maybe this guy increases intimidation by a lot, but he consumes like a ton of ammo in his pursuit and his method. So like I'm thinking about gameplay and that kind of stuff of what this game would be, going through the sky with your airships and everything. We'll see. But that was really fun, so posted that up today, which was sick, which was cool. Finally getting back to having a healthy relationship with posting art. I think YouTube really helped, man. Posting to YouTube massively helped me because it just took all the pressure off. Like, my YouTube audience grew bigger than my Instagram audience, which is just a bunch of strangers, if I'm being honest. And my body of work has changed so much. Like, I highly doubt the people who like follow me on Instagram actually like really um I doubt many of them actually want to see the kind of stuff I've been doing recently, just because my work has shifted so much over the years. Um, so yeah, posting on YouTube was great because I got to just kind of be like, hey, these are all my ideas. Check out all my projects, stuff that I haven't posted anywhere else. So we'll go there. We'll see how that goes. Or it says this is an anti-gaming space. Yeah, well, I haven't been on the community Discord that much because in the art Discord that's tied to the Patreon, you're not allowed to play video games and be in the Discord space because it's like very much like a sacred space for art making. So I can't break that rule. If no one else can, I certainly can't. So I haven't been on much because I've been playing Silksong, man. But uh, I'm taking a break, man. It's been insane. Um, yeah, man, it's just Silksong is such an insane game. Like you really feel the 7 years, man, for sure, for sure. So Recycled Bean joined. Welcome, Recycled Bean. I don't know if I've seen you in the chat before. Welcome, welcome. Cora says you feel like she's a lesbian. Hey, man, who knows? Who knows? 1783W, totally a real person. I believe that you're real. I believe you. Asks, how do you come up with quick concepts for an original character? That's a great question. Also, welcome Keegan. What up? And Taz is back. Nice, nice. Yeah, headcanon is, man's thought is his reality, so headcanon is legit. How do you come up with a quick concept for an original character? Well, I mean, I'll kind of give you the math equation, right? So you have the end result, which let's just call it like a character, right? So the end result is a character. And we're talking about an original character, which means that this is not a pre-existing character. It's a character of your imagination that like you've created. You've created your own character. So if you're creating a character, what is a character? Well, a character is basically a combination of a visual depiction, right? So like a visual representation, I guess. So you got a visual rep plus some kind of purpose, let's say. So if you're doing like an NPC for a video game, then it's like their narrative purpose is to maybe fit in with their environment or stand out from their environment, or they have like a particular purpose. For this example, because we're talking about like original characters, and usually when people talk about designing characters that they've done, there's a lot of like narrative, right? So you have some kind of visual representation plus some kind of story. And those two things typically are going to work together. And you want these things to be congruent. And the algebra is basically this. It's that if a character is X and a story is Y and visual representation is Z, you want the X, then, if it's going to equal, if X equals Z plus Y, you know what I mean? If that's the equation here, and these two things need to work together, then that's a great place to start. So for instance, like if your visual representation of something is incongruent and doesn't work with the actual story, like if your visual representation is like a super bubbly, pink, fluffy thing, but the story is that they're, like a tough on the street, beatnik who gets into street fights and robs people and all of that stuff, the visual representation and the narrative might not work very well together. So you typically want the visual representation to tell as much of the story as possible. At least that's usually the goal of a visual artist, because you are depicting something visually with as much descriptive power as possible. That doesn't mean that you're obsessed with details. Details don't necessarily mean that you're going to come up with a good character. A lot of times people will design a character and just put a whole bunch of stuff on their belt. But really, ultimately, it's a lot more about the total sum of the character. So if you talk about a visual representation of a character, that's also a bit of a math problem where you have the actual person. So usually it's like a body, and that body also tells a story, right? How someone is shaped tells a story. Are they super muscular? Are they not? Are they tall? Are they not so tall? Like, these things say something about that character, where they come from, their background, all that stuff. Then you have everything that's like on the character. So then you have, the additionals, which is like the outfit that they're wearing. And that tells you a lot about function, or it tells you a lot about culture, or it tells you a lot about their temperament, who they are. That's like additional to the body, is like the costume. Usually, you want the costume and the character to, again, be congruent. You want it to work together. So the costume is reflecting elements of the character that make sense. So when you ask something like, how do you come up with a quick concept for an original character? I think that you can't come up with a quick concept for an original character if you don't already have a really deepened basis of knowledge. So, for instance, for me, like I've looked a lot of like World War II, not costuming, but like uniforms, and I've looked a lot at like pilot uniforms, and I've looked a lot at, I've looked a lot at a lot of different kind of styles of clothing and whatnot. And what that's done for me is it's given me a kind of spider's web network of information that I can draw from when I am designing costume. And the same is true for character and their kind of posture and how they're standing. So I can pretty much now create with a really wide variety of variables, a very diverse range of characters that are they all kind of tell you who they are just by looking at them. And I mean, looking at these examples that I was working on yesterday, you can kind of see that each of these characters, for the most part, they're telling you kind of about themselves. This guy is very open, has a lot of bravado. He's showing his teeth. He's got these kind of squinting eyes. So it's kind of like he's not looking at you. He's to himself and he's displaying this emotion. He also has this big flared collar and these spiky earrings that are going out. His hair's going out. So like everything is kind of telling you about this guy. He's almost like shining, beaming at you a little bit. Versus another character like this guy, where it's like, yeah, his hair's kind of spiky and sort of, floppy, but it's more directional, not like an explosion out, but it's more kind of almost clawing down or kind of coming out at you. And he's got this really directional nose that's pointing down, and he's got these squinted eyes and this big scar, and he's been through things. That's the look of someone who knows what he's looking at and he doesn't like it. So again, all those little subtle variables, right? So you want the visual representation to match the story. And it's very logical, I think, but it requires a lot of dedication to the craft. Like, you can't just quick tips your way into designing like a really powerful character. Like, you need to think about stuff and develop, your own taste for what you think is important for a character. Like, I know some designers only prioritize character acting and they don't really care that much about costume or like like those kind of extra tertiary elements. For me, I love costume. I feel like I usually work backwards from costume with a character. Or when I'm working with costume and all of that stuff, like it's pretty much the same process as working with an expression. Like I feel like there's no difference for me between the costume and the expression of the character. So everything is connected in a really cool way. And that's, again, one of the most incredible things about art is that everything is connected. Um, And yeah, that's pretty much it. So coming up with a concept for an original character, your understanding of the world will assist you in that process. People give a lot of advice, and the advice oftentimes ends up being something kind of like draw what you know. Or if you're like a writer, they'll always say like write what you know. So that's why you get so many books about or screenplays about writers or stories about writers. It's because writers don't really know anything else except to write about writers. So that's an interesting thing to take a look at. So if you're an artist, you can only really write what you know. I was working with a student this morning from Malaysia who's actually growing a lot. They're getting really good. And I'm really pleased to see their improvement. And we were working together today. During the process of reviewing their work, I stopped on a page and I was like, "Wow, this is really good. Like this has a lot of great energy and gesture, and what changed? Like what happened here?" Because I knew something was different. And they had gone to this gathering where there was a bunch of families. Essentially, they were like at an event where there's a bunch of families, and they were just looking at the kids running around and playing, and just looking at the kids running around and playing, like stayed in their brain. and they were able to translate that to the page in like a really effective way. I was really impressed, you know what I mean? And it does take a lot to, for me at least now, like you know, I don't scare easy, let's just say that. So I was like, wow, like this is actually very strong. Like, let's just keep doing this. And it's a great reminder that your power as an artist is just as much your hands as it is your eyes, you know, and your ability to ingest information into understanding, not just memorization, but really understanding. Um, so yeah, that's how I would answer that question. Great question, by the way. It's awesome. Anne says, glad I caught the live, dude. I'm glad too, man. I'm so glad. This rules. Let's see here. Man, I don't understand this whole top fans thing. I want to like turn it off. I don't know how. I don't know how. So there you go. Versus. Read something horrifying, actually, is my advice. Give the reader a lingering sense of dread that never leaves them. There you go. That works too. Um, Sweet, sweet. Mia says, top fans are top yappers. So true. That means I'm the most top basically, because I am the yapper in chief. Um, Gosh, I've been an absolute menace with my friends recently online. Like, I just do not stop talking when it comes to art and design. Like, I'm going off the deep end, man. I'm like really going off the deep end. Uh, it's not. It's like I'm like getting so intense about stuff. It's like crazy. I'll talk more about that maybe another time when the storm is past in my life and things have kind of chilled out. Oh, while we're on the topic, quick reminder, guys, the costume design class, 4-week costume design course, is going to be all about world building with costume design. And for me, when you're designing costume, you are world building. And if you're world building with characters, you're doing costume design. So they're connected. But I wanted to focus really on costume design and also teach the principles of world building. So if you guys are interested in taking that course, the link is in the description. You can go check that out. I might make it easy for you guys and just drop a link really quick in case you're interested. I haven't marketed it too heavily yet. I'm gonna do a video soon. So normally, I don't know why I do this. Maybe it's not wise for me to do this, but I always like, here we go. If you guys want to check that out, in the chat there. But I don't know why I do this, but I always am like, oh, we'll let like the real fans, you know, find the course link. You know, I'll put it up a couple times. I'll talk about it, but I won't really push it, you know, until the real fans have had a chance to take the spots, you know. And I think there are, how many spots left do we have? Let's see. So yeah, we still have a few feedback spots left, but the standard spot is like, you know, I think it's like the absolute best deal, man. If you want feedback, then I offer feedback if you really want it. But if you really just want to ask questions and discuss and be there for all the lectures, I'll teach you guys. It's gonna be awesome. I can talk about some of it today, actually, when it comes to this stuff. Like, one thing that I'm really intense about now is communicating weight with my costumes that I design. I want to make sure the materials are actually sitting on the body in like a real grounded way. I want you to feel like if they're in a big heavy coat, like something I'm doing here, I want it to really feel like a big heavy coat. I don't want it to feel like it's this floppy, miasmatic, ungrounded material, you know? So yeah, I'm really excited. And it's great because it's getting me back into a lot of my prior IPs that I've been working on for probably a little too long, like the Fish World stuff. I'm revisiting that, which is great. Revisiting the Pirates, obviously, has been an absolute blast. I've been loving it. Um, so yeah, guys, if you want to learn how to design costumes and world build, take the November course. It's like the best deal, man. If I'm being completely honest, it's like you have like live time to ask questions. There's 4 weeks. There's like a ton of lectures. It's like amazing. Um, Yeah, so there we go. I'm trying to reach as many people as possible while I can because I probably won't be able to do that many classes in the near future if I'm being honest, guys. Um yeah, but I'll talk about that if that actually ends up being a problem. Bow, 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 bow. Aurora's not taking this one, but taking five in the past. Oh yeah, dude. Aurora's is a mainstay. Let's go. Also, what up, Ayub and CJ? Oh my gosh, wait, everybody. Everybody's here. That's awesome. Nah, yeah, it's true. I'm a certified yapper. Oh yeah, CJ's dude, you're gonna kill it in this class. This class is like so for you, CJ, man. Keegan says return to Fish World. So true. Planning on doing a bunch of anatomy studies. Oh, that's great. Anatomy studies are great. Course looks great. Oh man, the course is it's gonna be a peng ting fam. It's gonna be sick. We got the down to clowners in. It's so true. That's so true. So true, guys. So true. Okay, sweet. So yeah, we got the sick guy here. So the best thing to do if you're feeling kind of stuck is just keep bloody going, mate. You know, just keep it going. Um, have always been a comfort zone for me. And even though I feel like I do have a lot of the capacities and skills to draw the figure well, it's still something that is not as intuitive for me as faces. Let's just say that. I can draw faces forever and ever and always and have absolutely no problem. Um, but sometimes the figure, it just gives me a little bit of hesitation. And it's usually because the way I draw now is I don't really do construction lines anymore. Like I don't really give myself that much gesture information, which honestly I probably should. Maybe that's my entire problem is I need to give myself more gesture information. But I usually like to draw things just kind of straight, which bad habit I picked up when I was young. And if you guys all of you long-term artists know once you make those habits, very hard to break. But just like fill a page, man, and you'll get really comfortable and things will look good as you progress and continue. Also, like you need time to figure things out, Even with the face, like I change elements of the face a lot. But because with the figure, there's a lot more information, like the total of information is more. It can feel like scrapping certain elements of what you've done. It can feel like you're wasting time a little bit more with faces because with faces, it's like, oh, I got to redraw the nose. But it's like if you're doing a costume, it's like I have to redo the gesture and all the costuming details that I just did. So the fallacy of sunk cost really does hit diff when it comes to costume, I think. But to combat that, you just do volume, basically. That is the way to combat it. It's just volume. Volume is the answer, man. Volume is the way. One thing I want to do is I want to do a backlog, or I got to tackle the backlog of class footage I have from all the last classes that I've done, and I really need to put some cut down versions of those lectures available, make them available for people because that's one thing that I think I'm really lagging on doing and really need to do. But I've had a bit of a holdout right now in terms of like just getting cracking on it. If anybody is interested in interning and wants to cut some footage of my lectures together, so you get to you get to watch the lectures and learn, I guess, if you want to. This is a big if you want to. Absolutely no pressure. Nobody should work for free, but there is no budget currently. Um, but yeah, if anybody wants to intern and do some rough cuts of some of the classes I've already done, definitely hit me up, man. Dobby is free. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, man. Late night stream. We got the Aussies, dude. The Aussies are in. The Aussies are in. Gabriel's portrait sketches make me want to do portrait studies. Oh, studies are great. I honestly, I don't. This is my confession to you. I never ever do studies ever. It's like, well, I do draw from life, but for me that's different. Drawing from life is different than like doing a study, you know? But I never do studies ever. It's like a very like case by case thing. Like some people love studies, some people just do not do. I'm one of the people who just like I don't know why. I just never ended up doing it that much. Taz. Oh yeah, we do have to schedule those one-on-ones, man. Yo, what up, Jake? How's it going, buddy? Oh man, that no AC. I'm feeling it, guys. I'm feeling it. I'm starting to get hot. I'm starting to get hot. Aurora says daily doodling has saved my desire to draw and prevented art block. Oh yeah, doing some daily drawings is great. Retains a lot of skill. Oh yeah, man, you got to keep the knife sharp, baby. Yeah, Dobby's free says, what? I have to go to work. I just want to sit and vibe. No, just like be a time thief, dude. Just, watch the stream while working. Be a time thief. Only hit me up with spreadsheet projects, dude. Real, honestly, real. Nab says, do you mean in editing videos? Oh, for like the intern? Yeah, man. Yeah, I definitely need an intern. I need an intern a year ago. That's when I need an intern. 1783W says, I've been drawing more faces too compared to figures recently. I discovered the Riley rhythms a few days ago, and it's been really fun to practice compared to Loomis. Yeah, man. Oh, dude, those stuff. Oh, when you're learning, those like shorthands are a godsend, man. They're so good. They're so important. Keegan says, I guess I count as an Aussie by proxy. It's kind of true. Don't tell the other Kiwis that I said that, but you're all kind of the same to me. That's a joke. I'm joking. That's a joke. That's a joke. W3 says, oh, really? You don't do studies? This is the problem with saying you don't do studies, is that people are like, oh, Gabriel doesn't do studies, therefore I shouldn't do studies. It's like, no, man. I am like a very particular brand of psycho who, for whatever reason, despises studies. Like, I despise it. But that doesn't mean that I don't do stuff in order to improve. Like I'll do designs that include things that I don't understand, and I will gain an understanding while doing those designs. So it's like I'll do the practice that will refine the knowledge while creating my projects. Like that's typically what I'll do. Like some of my biggest gains have been my world building projects where it'll expand me into new realms and new areas of learning that I wasn't doing before. Oh yeah, we got to do your one-on-ones too, Auroras. Nice. Spaggy. What a name. Welcome, Spaggy. Says, that's what I'm doing right now. Nice. I don't remember what I was talking about. Nice. Nab says, I mean, I can help out with the editing. Let me come back to it later. Hey, yeah, let me know. Let me know. Only if you really want to. Taz says I do the intern thing. Oh gosh, you guys. Here's the scary thing though, is like, everyone always talks about like the whole YouTuber power dynamic stuff, and I never ever want to be putting pressure on anybody or anything like that when it comes to doing work like that. But there's just too much stuff to do, man. Keegan says we're gonna get him. It's true. Dude, I love Kiwi so much. Taz says, I've been to most of the classes, so I would just let someone else take the spot if they want it. Oh my gosh. Different brand of studies. Yeah, exactly. Mia, that's exactly right. It's a different brand of studies. The Aussies are indeed here. More Aussies. Let's go. Dude, fantastic. I feel like the time zone the for me the time zones are noon on the west coast on the east coast, which is great because then you get the evening in Europe, you get the morning or the midday in the west coast, and then noon or yeah the morning in the west coast, then like noon in New York. But then if I stream at night, I get the whole a whole other region, man, and I get like the zombies, the people who are up super late, which is kind of crazy. New Zealanders rising from the dead. It's true. Yeah. Just thieving time. So true. Mackenzie Lovick says hi. What up, Mackenzie? 1783W says, how long into your artwork did you really start to hone into clothing design? Great question. And then I'll get back to drawing for a little bit. So, how long into my art journey did I get into clothing design? I think that um, I always liked costume. More than costume, I always liked pattern. Pattern was one of the things in art for me that was like a really pivotal and important touchstone in my like artistic development was really working on my sense of pattern. Um, Beyond that, I then applied that sense of pattern to a lot of the artwork that I was working on. I'm wondering if I can get like a really old example of some of my art that had some patterns in it. Probably not. I doubt that I would be able to. But I've been really into pattern during my life. So my love for pattern gradually bled into my love for design and costume. And then it was kind of just like, it was a done deal, man. Once I was really into pattern and costume, it just kept compounding and I just kept enjoying it and kept liking it and kept doing it. All right, I can't find my OG old school examples of some like weird costumes, but I would say a midpoint. I mean, when I was a kid, I basically just drew dragons all the time. But when I got older, you know, there's a while where I was drawing, a bunch of babes. I feel like everyone has like kind of a babe phase where they draw a bunch of babes. And I'm kind of past that point now for drawing babes. I was I was talking with a friend of mine who's a Riot artist, and I was kind of like wanting to know. I was like, hey, like what would I have to do to end up at Riot? And they were like, skill wise, you're there. You just have to draw more hot people. I was like, what? More hot people? And they're like, yeah, you gotta draw more hot people. And I was like, that's so weird. I feel like I do draw hot people. And I looked at my portfolio. I've probably told the story before on stream, so I don't know if I'm backtracking or something. But I was like, no way. Like I draw hot people, almost kind of like a little ashamed a little bit. And then I kind of looked at my recent work, like all my recent work from like all that year, and it's just like characters with like really intense, like really pushed proportions and really accentuated like noses and all that stuff. And then I go and I look at what they're doing in like League of Legends and stuff, and it's just like the most boring faces on planet Earth. Like every face is the same and everything's the same, and I'm like, oh, this is what they meant. Like I actually don't do that many like textbook conventionally attractive characters in my projects, and that was like a big wake up call where I was like, huh, interesting, interesting. Like you don't really know it's your taste until you kind of someone sort of makes it clear. And he wasn't even being like out of the blue like, hey, you should do more attractive characters. They're like, oh yeah, no, you'd be great at a studio like Riot, but you just got to do more attractive characters. And I was like, whoa, I don't do attractive characters. No way. That was a big realization for me at the time. Still haven't recovered, man. Still haven't recovered. But it's also put a chip on my shoulder where it's like I don't now I don't want to cave. Like I don't want to just do a bunch of like random hot people just to, you know, be at a studio or something. But yeah, no. That was my funny industry story, I suppose. I suppose. Let's check the chat here. I fall asleep at my Wacom if I try. Oh, to be a zombie. Yeah, so true. Ba-ba-ba. European vampires. Dude, exactly. Exactly. They're Never sacrifice the interesting for the hot. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of how I felt about it. I was like, I don't want to cave and just put stuff in my portfolio that I don't like. But a good example of me making an effort is like this character, that I mentioned before, which is like for me, this character is like very attractive, very interesting, but maybe they wouldn't be put in that category of like conventionally, like in that bracket of like what they would want at a studio like Riot. Like this probably isn't that kind of kitten face that they like a lot. They really like the kitten face. Um, Slavic vampire. Oh my god. What are you guys getting up to, man, in the chat here? Um, Sometimes beautiful face is same face. That's true. That's true, man. Spaggy says I was more into drawing Gordy and Wilbur than Babe. Yeah, fair enough, man. Whatever the heck Gordy and Wilbur is, so true, dude. I think that it's a canon event. Sometimes we have that happen. Dude, it's so true. It was absolutely a canon event. It's like, oh, I just drew a bunch of weird guys. Huh. Look at me go. Look, Mom. Look at all these weird guys I draw. I was hanging out with my grandmother, because of course I'm here visiting family. Hanging out with my grandmother and her partner currently. And we're talking, and he kind of is looking through my sketchbook, and he goes, "Oh, it's good you've got some more, like pretty drawings. You were drawing all those scary guys before." And it's like he's kind of like a mild mannered guy, He's a pretty nice guy, all things considered. And I don't think my drawings are particularly scary. But when he was looking through my drawings, he was like actually terrified. Like he was scared. He was like, "Oh, oh, oh," at some of the stuff I was drawing. And it's just like I was just drawing normal kind of what I would consider maybe they're a little grizzled. But I was drawing just like normal characters for me. They were normal for me. And it's again another thing you notice when you're like talking to normies, where I'm talking to this guy and he's like, "Oh, oh," he gets like scared at what I'm drawing because to him it's like really scary. And I thought it was very endearing, um, I guess. And it also again kind of made me realize I'm like, oh damn, like who's my audience? My audience is definitely not the greatest generation or the boomers. Apparently they think what I do is really scary and freaky and creepy. But then on the other hand, on my other half of the family, they're all like Muppet people, like people who worked in the Muppets and everything. So I'll do like a funky weird character, and they'll be like, "Oh, nice," or they'll be like, "Haha, that's so funny." They're totally on board, which I'm so lucky to have family that like gets it, man. So lucky. They totally get it. I'll do like a weird design, and I don't have to explain anything. I'll just do like a weird, like creature in like a jester hat being weird, and my grandfather, I'll show him, and he'll go, "Oh, that's great." And then someone else will be like, "What is it? What is this from? What is this?" And he's like, "Isn't it obvious? Look at the drawing. It's what it is. It's like a weird guy with a jester hat." I'm like, "Exactly. This is a man who gets it." Um, oh, that's so funny, Rurus. Yeah, the chats in the Zoom whenever I do my classes, they get crazy. I have to like not look because it'll distract me when I'm doing a lecture. Nab says you speak to a lot of millennials and Gen Z. Exactly. You guys are my people, man. You guys are my people. My people are my people. You guys, we're all people. Starlight Productions says hi. What up, Starlight Productions? What's good? We all know that Gabriel is primarily a goblin designer. It's true. That's actually so real. What the heck? One of Taz's messages got held in review. I had to just approve it. It's so weird. The YouTube auto mod at work, I suppose. All right, this guy needs some more umph. Needs more umph. Yeah, something like this. Something like this is good. This guy doesn't have enough zhuzh. This guy right here, there's no zhuzh here. It's like very neutral. There's nothing like I'm a pirate about this guy. Same with this guy. Both of these drawings like really suck, in my opinion. Like they're not incorrect, but they're just like not good. They're just not it. All right, let's do some good drawings. Let's switch it up. Do some good ones. So half of what makes a pirate is the swagger, you know? So we gotta really switch up our approach. Oh yeah, by the way, guys, I debuted some brushes last week. Not last week, last stream, which was more than a week ago. I debuted some brushes that I finally released my brush pack, guys. Version 1 of the brush pack. And I'll do updates in the future. Eventually, I'll add more brushes and the price will kind of go up a little bit. But for now, if you snag it now, you'll get all the updates. So definitely snag the brush pack if you guys want. Also in the description. But tell you what, guys, I'll make it easy for you. I'll just put a link in the chat for you. How about that? Gotta find it. Where the heck are we? So I'll show you what brushes I'm using from the pack. So yeah, here we go. Yeah. Definitely check out the brushes, man. The brushes are cool. So I'm using two in particular for all of these portraits, which are just two basic brushes. One is called the Ideas Guy. And for me, it's the perfect pencil for sketching because it has a point that is just textured enough to be loose and feel loose, but it's restricted to quite a fine point so that you have that element of precision when you're designing. So for me, something like this is like a really important tool in my repertoire. Whenever I'm drawing it out in public and stuff, like I really like a mechanical pencil, but I like a mechanical pencil with like a 4B lead if I can make that happen, which you can if you have the right setup and figure out, you know, the right lead and stuff. I like the Rotring leads personally. But I really like that tight tip where, you know, you do get wide and bold if you really want to, but for the most part, you have a lot of control, but it's also quite loose. Sometimes I pump the smoothing to like 5% just to kind of, I don't know, just a thing that I do sometimes. But so I've been doing this brush mixed with the other brush that I have in here, which is the Pastel Painter, which is, in my opinion, like the perfect painter brush because you get this nice tone when you go in. If you really press, you get the full pigment. But what I think is great working with pastels, like chalk or oil pastels, but let's just say chalk pastels in this case, is that you can kind of build up tone. So it has a flow modifier and an opacity modifier. So if you go over a few times of what you're painting, you do end up with the actual tone that you wanted, the actual tone. But if you wanted some slight kind of hue variation, because you're layering things with opacity, you can kind of work some magentas in. You can even work some cool, nice, whatever this is, teal, no, turquoise, work some turquoises in a little bit, you know, into these kind of tones. And then, of course, for me, like, you know, painting the shadows and all of that stuff. So you get all of that control with just the one brush. So I did all of these portraits with those two brushes, the Ideas Guy and the Pastel Painter brushes. And the pack comes with just so many more, guys. Such a great deal. 5 bones, only 5 bones, and you can support your favorite art streamer, Gabriel Quinn? It's crazy. Sign me up. Where do I sign up? So cool. So freaking cool. Pretty sweet, if you ask me, guys. Pretty darn sweet. Brush kit OP, dude, so true. Ideas Guy and the Oval Sketcher are my favorite. I duplicated the ideas. Guy to some blending too. Oh, nice. Very cool. This is tickling something in my brain. What the kind of tonal painting technique thing that I'm doing here, the kind of like working with tones mixing on top of each other. And then what I do is I just cut it out basically. So like once you have the thing you want, I just like actually paint out the edge for me, for whatever reason, it's just more satisfying this way. I don't know why. I just like doing this a lot. It's my preferred method of finishing a character. Is I like to work really wild outside of the lines and then cut out from the lines. I've noticed a massive increase in my speed by doing this because I'm not worried about like staying in the silhouette or like staying in, and it also helps me work really big and it looks better because if for whatever reason, don't ask me why it looks better, it just does. So anyway, let's keep sketching here. But yeah, we gotta definitely grab the brush pack. Brush pack is goated with the sauce. Goated brush pack. All right, let's see here what we want to do. You want another kind of big hat pirate, or do you want kind of like a more square head? I kind of like the square head look, like the no hat pirate captain look. I think it's kind of cool. We'll run with that for now. See how far we get. I've been loving the big coat look, obviously. You guys can tell. Big coat. It's been the jam, man. And I gotta say, I do enjoy some high-waisted trousers. Some braces. Oh, man, yeah, I want to talk about Silk Song. I keep wanting to talk about that game, dude. That game is a masterpiece. Oh my God. I just can't believe it exists. Also, Hades 2 official release is happening like in 2 days. Crazy. What an unbelievable month for indies, man. I kind of jumped the gun and just immediately jumped into Hades 2 after the last early access patch. So like I've already basically 100% of what you can do in the game. However, when we finally get to find out what happens with the story, I will be very excited. All right, we're losing the energy a little bit here. So, let's kind of focus in back on art for a second. And I'm going to maybe rant for a little minute while I work on this. So, one thing that is important to do for this kind of world building, exploratory way of working is you want to make sure you're giving yourself opportunities to find things and discover things that you may have otherwise overlooked, which means you expand your process out from just a simple, I'm going to draw this character and draw their clothes. And it kind of goes into the world of let's, through drawing, discover a lot more about who this character is. So I've got a very wide stance for this guy right now. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to nix that. And instead, we're going to focus on having a much straighter back for the character. We're going to tilt him up a little bit. And I think we're actually going to give him more of a rooted, planted posture. Gosh, since I've been back visiting home here in Bermuda, the bugs are crazy. Gotta watch out for the bugs. Just got one. Yeah, so we want to give ourselves opportunities to discover things. So what I think is a really good thing to do is to experiment with ensemble, which ensemble, I actually don't know the exact translation, but in this term, we're going to use it as in the theatrical sense, where you are having a group of people who are actors or just a group of characters who are engaging in whatever kind of mission or something like that. It's a group of people, with some kind of purpose. Like, you can think about any sitcom, and like the main characters of a sitcom are an ensemble. So when you're designing a character, no man is an island, right? And single time you design something for a story or for a world, you really need to pit them next to other characters because no character exists in a vacuum. Everything is a duo. For those of you guys who took my very first course ever, you'll know that I'm a firm believer that every single character is a duo with another character. If you have a villain, that he's a foil to the hero. If you have a hero, he's a foil to the villain. Usually the villain has a sidekick. Usually the hero has a sidekick. There's always some kind of dynamic of a duo that's happening. Whether like a conflicting duo or a you know duo that's working in collaboration. So in that way, what we really, really want to do is, again, give ourselves opportunities to find who characters are by really, putting them next to other characters and stripping away everything that is standing in the way of like getting to the true essence of a thing. Oh, let's see. Read the chat really quick. Yeah. 1783 says, you mentioned Steven Zapata earlier. What resonated you within his recent videos? Well, I really like how um, he has been saying a lot of the things that I've been feeling for years. Part of why I started streaming is because I started getting really upset at how people were teaching things online, on YouTube in particular. People were teaching things completely in isolation without showing how, everything is interconnected. When it comes to like the principles of art and like the fundamentals. And the world of learning art has basically become like crabs in a bucket, like who can make the most clickbait thing possible, like who can attract the new artists as quickly as possible and get them in this system of like, the whole tips and tricks pipeline where, you like learn all these tips and tricks and then you leave basically even more restricted than you were before because now you're not exploring to learn. Instead, you are feeling that you are bound to the sum total of knowledge that you acquired on YouTube rather than you are free to expand your knowledge with your own inquisition and really pushing yourself hard. So that's really resonated because a lot of what he's been saying is kind of like, hey, it's not so simple, and all this stuff is really important to consider, and you shouldn't listen to people, on YouTube. You shouldn't just listen to what people say. Um, and the way that I word things when I talk online is I'm very careful with how I word things. I make sure that I tell you why I think something and that it's based on a particular goal or a particular like reason. It's never just a rule. It's always just like, well, here's the system of thought that got me here, but there are many systems of thought and many things that, you can learn. So Steven's somebody I really respect in that regard, and I've gotten to speak with him a couple times. He's been an absolute darling, and yeah, I would definitely recommend his class. You should definitely do his design class. Um, but yeah, Steven's a real chiller. He's cool. Cool dude. And it's interesting how like when I hopped online and just started doing live streams, like I didn't have the intention of like, oh, I'm gonna grow an audience and do this thing, I'm gonna become a YouTube artist and do whatever. It was like very much like I'm just gonna share what I know and talk about things that I find interesting, and people just kept showing up and they keep showing up. So I'm gonna keep doing it, as long as people keep showing up. I guess. And even if they don't show up. The thing that makes me the happiest is whenever I get a comment from somebody and they're like, I've just been making my way through all the streams and they've been so helpful. Like, whenever I find out someone is like going through the whole catalog of all the streams I did, that's like the best feeling ever. Because when I'm doing them, especially early on, like when I was just starting, like 5 people tune in, or like two, and like one of them talks, and like now I feel like I can't really keep up with the chat like I used to be able to keep up, but now it kind of moves faster than I can think a lot of the time, um, or get through an idea. But that's kind of because I yap a lot, I guess. I am engaging in elevated and complex discourse, my friend. Um, but yeah, Steven is basically just like one of those creators who is a bit of a beacon of hope in the current miasmatic art space. If you think about it, and I really want you to think about it, you were born in recent history. You're a new human. You're a fresh human, all things considered, in the world of being. Art has been a practice that has existed for the entirety of human history. Art has been there the whole time. The way that you learn art has constantly evolved and changed throughout every different culture, every different era of art and design has different goals, different rules. And you're living in an era where you have access to understanding every single other artistic era. And that's new. The people who were studying classical painting in Europe, let's say like 100 years ago in the 1900s, or we can go even earlier in the 1800s, like those classical painters, um, those people were studying in the institutions that they had available, and they usually came from very wealthy families. And what they would do is they would just atelier train. They would just paint realism, paint realism, paint realism. And then you got like five dudes who are like, what if we make it all crazy mode? And you get impressionism. And then as things continue, things start to shift and change and evolve. But for that era of classical painting, people weren't really doing like abstract art, or they weren't, doing, what we do now, you know what I mean, with like hyper stylization, all this kind of stuff, like it was very limiting of what you could learn in art history. So it's like now, um, you have access to everything. But the problem is that the people who are teaching you are not like the atelier masters of yesteryear. It's like some random guy on YouTube, like me. I'm a random guy on YouTube. And, if I'm a little more advanced than you in art, it just means that I've thought about it more and I've practiced more. It's a very simple equation. It's not like I don't have any special sauce or anything like that. So what I can do is I can tell you what I know and give you that information, and you can use it to improve faster. But for the most part, if you watch these guys on YouTube, man, it's like these guys are I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. It's like it's not very good. The quality of art education right now is very, very low in my opinion. And the way things are taught is very, very counterproductive. And the art schools are even worse because the art schools, they really want your money, man. So they're not going to let you fail, which means that if you go to art school, there will be no technical requirements to succeed. All you have to do is do the assignment. You don't have to make it good, and you will pass and get your degree that no one cares about, in the industry. But might matter if you want to teach at a higher institution, stuff like that. Um, all of that to say, guys like Steven are important because they are somebody who is shining a light on a lot of things that oftentimes go quiet. And sometimes there's kind of like an illusion that you only really see when you're on the other side of it. And something that I am constantly telling students and constantly focusing on is that all you have to do is just keep going. Keep going, keep practicing hard, keep trying to understand. You will go so far. And it'll all become clear the more you really focus. And listening to artists that you admire is really great because you can, plug their insight into your own system of thought and kind of grow pretty quickly through that process. But it never replaces the internal want for knowledge, and your own internal taste, I guess. So yeah, I think it's good. Um, yeah, anybody who's taken one of my courses knows that you will leave, you know, knowing what to do, basically. Like you know what to do to improve. It doesn't necessarily mean you'll do it, but you'll know what to do. And also, it's courses are amazing because it's just a way for someone to hold you accountable, and that's like just counts for so much, man. I when I was younger, I was always like, I don't need school to get better at art. I'm just my own guy. And then I finally sought out mentorship from an artist I really admired and trusted. Dude, I improved so quickly. It's crazy. It's like that accountability is no joke. Plus, like, people get to disillusion you from a lot of the stuff that's going to hold you back, which is also good. Let's take a look at the chat here. Aurora says, reminds me of how Jay Seki draws. Dude, Jay's a homie. I love Jay. Jay's sick. He's so good, dude. He's a brainstorm kid, man. He just took all the brainstorm classes and just got so good. Aurora says, maybe the villain is a foil to the much worse villain. Hey, fair enough, man. Dreadmag says, so we can get feedback from you. How? How does that work? Well, if you're in the Patreon Discord and you catch me in VC, like, I'll answer questions, and I've been known to look at people's work there. But if you take one of my classes, there's feedback available. Keegan says that's how I got into the stream, because I could never catch him live, so I watched the VODs. Dude, so real, so real. W's Free says, sorry I couldn't stay for too long. Have fun, everyone. Oh, take care. All the best. Mia says, it's rough out here for the art education. Dude, it really is. Mia says, genuinely, I found very few valuable resources. You are consistently one of them. I always throw your name out. Oh, nice. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Keegan says, yeah, I'm at a design school right now, and it's low-key been really demotivating because it feels like while the lectures are really passionate and caring, the curriculum is just built for tick boxes. Oh, dude, yeah. No, they will not let you fail in art school, man. They won't let you do it. And here's the thing, is that a lot of people who pursue art are like constitutionally very underdeveloped. Like, they don't have a really clearly defined ethos. People who pursue art typically have been in kind of a rebellious state for a lot of their life, kind of going against what's been around them and feeling very misunderstood. And what that can do is it can give you a sense of like, well, when I'm finally in my element, when I'm finally where I need to be, then I'll be able to really be good and I'll be able to be amazing. And then what happens is they go to school or something. And in that school, it's just like everywhere else in life. School is just like anywhere else, You're there, and other people are there, and there's stuff you got to do. And people at school usually will take the same position because it's out of habit, right? You've like formed a habit. So you'll take the same position you took in your last environment, which is then you rebel against that system, because that system doesn't really represent me. And, oh, well, this is still restrictive and I need to be rebellious even in the environment that is supposed to be nurturing my, freedoms and all of that stuff. It's like, I'm still going to rebel. Of course, that's not everybody, but it's a lot of people. So those people will not do well. Like, they will not do well with the assignments. They will typically procrastinate to the last minute and just not do them. A lot of artists feel like they're beneath certain levels of study, so they just won't do the assignments. And the thing is that like, I'm not coming down on that perspective, a lot of that kind of like intense confidence can be useful or it can be good. But the outcome is that like you would fail out of school. Like if it was a reputable institution that actually had criteria for you to become a good artist, they would you would fail. You would fail out. Part of the reason why I know all this is because, or why I feel so strongly about this is because, dude, I didn't put any effort into art school when I was in art school. Like I barely put any effort in at all. It was like very select times I put effort in, and I got good grades, and I barely did anything. So that's how I know how easy it is, and how like you won't get pushed very hard is because I was not pushed very hard at all. you know? But it was a great time to just develop my own kind of, because I'm a very self-sufficient learner, so like I never needed something external to create in me a curiosity. Like, so even when I was at school, I was still constantly teaching myself stuff, and that was kind of my main thing is I would teach myself stuff. Um, but yeah. What up, Ryan? What up, Jake? Yeah, man, that's the jam. But that was my experience, if I'm being honest. Like I was a major slacker and I had a complex, dude. I was like, this is beneath me. I don't have to do this. And of course, all my teachers were like feeding my ego, like, oh, you're the most interesting student we have. Oh, you're well. One thing that people do a lot in education is they'll kind of be like, oh, well, you obviously know what you're doing. They'll say that. They'll like say something like that. And man, it just makes me so upset because I don't know what I'm doing. It's like it's coming out nice because maybe like my intuition is aligned with, whatever's happening here, but I don't understand what I'm doing. And when you kind of go like, "Oh, well, you know what you're doing." It's like you're like tell me what's going well with it or like tell me, I don't know. But a lot of art educators are very insecure. So like they won't actually give you the appropriate praise, which is not good. Not good, especially in art schools in particular. Which is why if you learn from an artist who's like really goated, like they're really good, it's awesome because they're not insecure. They're really confident in their work and they want you to improve because they know that it's not a matter of talent; it's a matter of ethic. That's what decides if how much you improve and how good you are. It's your ethic. It's nothing to do with talent at all. So that's why it's good to work with mentors and educators who are really absolutely goated. Roy says didn't even take art classes, so yeah, fair enough. Biggest art class was my mom's, and she did all the evil Lego perspective assignments. Nice. Ryan says just crafted myself some epic chai and about to sit down to draw. Let's go! This guy's doing it right. Anne says, or they help others and ignore you because they think you have it covered. Yeah. Ryan says, bro, same. There's maybe two teachers that actually pushed me in art school. Yeah, same, same. It was the same thing for me, man. What's funny is like the ones that, you know, it's always the ones that like actually care whether or not you get good grades. Like I remember the teachers that actually cared if I got good grades, like dude, their work was so underdeveloped, I'll say, as a teacher, very underdeveloped. And underdeveloped, I'll say, like technically, like you'll get a lot of art teachers in art institutions where their work is like undercooked in that they have not paid the blood price for the knowledge. They make work, and you could make the argument from like art, like a art with a capital A kind of perspective that like it's evocative or interesting, but they do not display or have a understanding of how to draw, like in terms of draftsmanship. Those people always cared if you actually put effort into the assignments, but the people who were actually good at art, they didn't really care. They just wanted to know that you were pushing yourself hard, which was good. Yeah, I don't want to come down too hard on art institutions, but oh, another thing art institutions will do is they don't care if you're good, because they don't really care if like you make good work and leave because what they do is they will give scholarships to students who are already really good. And they'll give scholarships to them and then just put their work like on the website. Like look at what our students do. And it's like they were already good. And they were going to be good anyway, regardless of what you do here. They were going to succeed no matter what. They just have that vibe, have that energy. Um, man, didn't know I was gonna go on a rant today. Please forgive me, guys. Forgive me, guys. I'm so sorry. All right, at a certain point, I have to give my beloved a call. I haven't seen her in like 2 weeks. Yeah. So something came up in the Discord where people were asking about how to paint the color black because it's really hard to paint the color black. And I was maybe gonna do like a workshop or talk specifically about how to tackle things that are like confusing like that, like how to actually paint the color black. because it is kind of confusing if you don't, understand what you're doing. Um, so I'll probably do that at some point. Also, again, just touching on the shape design workshop that I put out for free, that was really fun. I'm really glad that there was a turnout. I think like 100 people signed up, which was amazing. I had a cap for it, so we capped it because my Zoom subscription can only support that many people in the Zoom. So I capped it. I probably could have had some buffer space, but we had a really nice turnout, a lot of really cool people in the shape design workshop. And yeah, really, really happy that people turned out for that. Um, and yeah, so that was fun. I want to do more free workshops if I can afford to do them in the future. That's something that I want to do. Definitely let me know if you guys have any ideas for like a weekend long, like a 2 day long thing that you would be interested in if you like really struggle with some stuff. Doe says hello. Hello, Doe. And says, or when they hate realism and only do abstract and force you to do the same. Oh yeah, true, true, true. That's rough. No, not the timing. I mean, if you signed up to the Gumroad thing, even if you weren't able to attend the lectures, you can watch the VODs back. They're on the Gumroad page. They're on the Gumroad page. Alrighty. Let's see. How sleepy do I look right now? I'm very sleepy. I look very sleepy. I look so focused in the corner. I forget what the camera's on sometimes, like when I'm doing this stuff. But I have to shoot a promo for the course soon so people like know that it exists, which is hard to do. I don't like doing that kind of stuff. Which is why I need an intern. Yeah. Yeah, intern applications. I'm gonna open applications for interns soon. So if you guys want to intern for the Valley of the Brave art community, hit me up. There's gonna be epic perks, probably, maybe. Oh my god, my dream. My dream would be a full-time employee. That would be amazing. Love to hire somebody. That'd be so cool. Oh, I could do so much. The power. I could do so much. I could build an empire with one full-time employee. Plus, it would just be dope to hire somebody. Be sick. Give somebody a dope opportunity. Nav says, man, I could rant about our institutions for hours, but I think we can use the time better to draw. So true. So true. Anne says, how do you balance life and art? Do you have a routine? I've been trying to get one down. I don't. I have no balance whatsoever in my life currently. And we're just going for it, you know? It's pretty much how it's going. I'm gonna be honest, my sleep has been abysmal. I've been having terrible sleep over the past like 3 months, like really bad sleep. And I'm trying to attain balance in my artistic practice recently, which is really hard to do, it turns out. Balance is extraordinarily difficult. I have a girlfriend who's in medical school, and so that's been really crazy. I've been traveling so much over the past couple of years, which I guess I don't necessarily I feel like I have to for certain things, like it's like family stuff and, hard to not do that. And I feel like there's always some that pops up. There's always some there to kind of throw off the balance. I've definitely said yes to too much freelance that I actually didn't want to do, and that's been bad for me, procrastination wise, and also like whenever I'm doing freelance, I always realize what I actually want to be doing, which is like teaching and offering kind of educational opportunities for people and working on my own projects. So I actually have no balance currently with my artistic life and my personal life. There's no balance at all. The only thing that I make sure of, I don't actually know what that even looks like. I don't even know what that balance would even look like personally, but even all these guys who talk about, art and, this is the best thing to do, or the art routine or this or that. Like, dude, those guys aren't even doing that, man. Or maybe they do it for like a month, but then they stop. Like, it's very rare that you'll actually meet an artist who really does have it all together. Like Zach Retz, he's got it all together. He's like the only one. But yeah, dude, no, my sleep has been a mess. My nutrition has been pretty good actually. I've been paying attention to nutrition, but I have absolutely no balance right now at all. So that's a little bit of a personal thing for you guys to know. Um, what's interesting is that, being honest about that stuff is really important because things in life happen in seasons. Just because I'm like good at drawing. Let's say for sake of argument that I'm good at drawing. Just because you meet someone who's good at drawing doesn't mean that they're at like a very particularly optimized place in their life, let's say, or that things are magically like kind of perfect or kind of magically whatever. Um, there are always seasons of highs and lows, like sometimes I'll be really on it for like a few weeks, and sometimes it's really easy to just drop off the deep end, man, and kind of lose track of what you're doing and who you are and all of that stuff. Um, so for me, how do I balance? Goodness gracious, I don't at all. It's a mess. Actually, what I've been doing is I've been biting the bullet and saying no to most things in life in lieu of art. Like, there was a minute where I was mostly prioritizing life instead of art, but I'm back on the art train currently. That's like what I'm doing now, is I'm like hyper fixated on the art thing again. So we'll do that for a long time. We'll see how that goes. And we'll go from there. But I think that the best way to have balance in your life when it comes to art is you want to make sure you have basically your time that is yours. So are you drawing for like the fun of it or the joy, or are you drawing for your job? And if you're drawing for your job, or if you have a hobby that's like fun and joy, like if you play a lot of video games and also you're trying to treat art like it's your job, but you also have like a real job, the math doesn't work out. You kind of have to cut the thing that you're doing for fun and for leisure. Like if you have like a League of Legends addiction, or like if you're playing too many video games, or if like you binge watch shows or you scroll on your phone too much, you have to stop doing that and replace it with art. So then art becomes the fun thing in your life. And if art is your job, right? Like let's say art is actually the thing you do for work, then you need something fun to do. It can be art, but it doesn't have to be. It can be other stuff too. So getting that balance of understanding what you're doing for leisure, understanding what you're doing for work and like practice and refinement, that it makes a huge difference. I've worked with a few students who in the process of really gaining clarity in that area, they just get so good so fast because they realize like, oh, I'm treating art like a job and I have a real job and I also play video games. I'm realizing that I don't even need my headphones because I'm not listening to anything currently. So we can just kind of hang out here a little bit. I can cool my head down slightly because it's so hot in this room. It's because I have the AC off. Oh, can you guys hear the tree frogs chirping? I just realized you might be hearing the tree frogs chirping. That'd be crazy if you were. And says, thanks for the honesty. I asked because I'm struggling to get the sleep routine too. Dude, I'll tell you completely transparently, there was a time in my life where I was like 6 a.m. legend, like I was up at 6 a.m. I was swimming first thing I did in the morning, got great cardio, had a nutritious breakfast, sat down to draw. I was the most productive I've ever been in my life when I had control over my sleep. Um, Sleep is like the number one most important thing if you want to achieve your goals, having command over your sleep. If you don't have command over your sleep, you are cooked. You're cooked. And the thing that destroys your sleep is scrolling on the phone, man. Scrolling on the phone is like not the one, I'll tell you. Um anyway. Anyway, yeah, I'm realizing the phone is the enemy recently. The phone is like my main enemy. Mia says I'm just up at 2 to 4 a.m. for no reason. Yeah, me too. It's like midnight here and I'm streaming on YouTube. How crazy is this? We're getting too real on stream, guys. We're getting too real on stream. Oh no. You're seeing behind the veil. Oh no. Oh, Spaggy said I'd take it. I'm a video editor. Look at this guy. Dude, hell yeah. Oh, man, we're gonna get a budget for an editor. It's gonna happen. Taz says I've been struggling with the balance since art became my job. Dude, it's really hard when art becomes your job to get the balance thing down, man. It's really hard. Gross Girl says, Gross Girl? Yucky. Says, it's really easy to get overly excited about art jobs when you also have to do other jobs, but you're looking to replace. Dude, so true. Yeah, controversial, but I love art. Dude, I love art too. I'm like in a recent re-falling in love with art phase. So like all I'm doing is drawing and then playing Silk Song and like staying up till like God knows what hour just making art. Anne says I always said I don't have time, then I realized I scroll for hours on my break. I do have the time for art. I just need to allocate my time better. Yeah, you need to destroy your phone. Like that's the answer. Imagine if you don't even think about it. Like imagine not having to use your willpower to not go on your phone. Imagine that. Isn't that such a blissful reality? Isn't that amazing? So cool. So cool, dude. No chirps, eh? Well, that's probably good. Yeah, it's so easy to take on too many things while balancing regular life and burning out stuff. It's crazy. Nab says it's 5 a.m. 5 a.m. And I'm just drawing along, even if I should go to sleep. Real. So real. This is why you do art obsessively for completely selfish and evil reasons. Dude, it's so true. I am a selfish, evil artist. It's so true. Toby says, got laid off recently, but I genuinely don't know how other artists do commissions or personal art with an art job. It feels impossible. Dude, it kind of is. When I started doing freelance, I just dropped off the face of the earth, man. Honestly, for like years, I just didn't post anywhere. I didn't do art for myself or anything. I didn't advance. Like, it was really bad. It was really bad. I've spoken about that before, though. Ryan says, my life as of recent. Art, Silk Song, then back to art. Dude, me too. Are we the same? Whoa, big stretch. Big stretch, guys. All right, let's work on this guy a little bit here. So I like the sword. I like the crooked hand. He needs more swagger. So what we're going to do is we're going to push the angle of the face. We're going to go much more into the realm of like, oh, so, It's too much. Give him a mustache, maybe. We're goated, chat. We're goated. Easy. Easy. Dude, art is so easy, bro. I don't know why it's hard for some people. It's just easy. This stuff, man, this whole art thing, it's freaking easy, guys. Quit, guys, quit your whining. Art is easy. Don't you know? Haven't you heard? Don Quixote? Oh, absolutely. And says, I used to stay up really late, but now if I do, I start tweaking the next day. Dude, me too. That's how you know, man. Once you cross the, older than 25 threshold, you start to realize, like, oh, I can't just abuse myself forever. I have to take care of myself. Otherwise, I get cranky. Because I'm visiting home right now. I'm like doing all this admin, passport, driver's license stuff back in Bermuda. And so I'm hanging out with my mom a lot, which has been great. Love my mom. And like the dog and everything. But it's funny because since I've been back, like sometimes I just go goblin mode and I'm just like drawing in for like hours and hours and hours. And she's like, "Hey, everything okay?" And I'm like, "Wow, like leave me be." And it's like, oh, we got invited for tea. I'm like, God, tea. Here's another thing. Here's a big problem. We're gonna talk for a second. Here's a big problem. If you, God, my hair looks awesome, dude. Look how awesome my hair looks right now. Hell yeah, let's go. Um, I look so crazy. So if you sculpt yourself into a dynamic, interesting, and likable person, which is possible for each individual, even you, that's right. The problem is that you get invited to stuff and people get upset if you say no. So you have to balance how often you can say no without making people upset because people want to have you around because they themselves are operating at a major deficit of like stuff going on in life. Contrary to popular belief, not a lot of people actually like think or live. So when they meet somebody who thinks and is alive, they kind of, it's like lightning in a bottle. They're like, Zoom, come to dinner, talk to us, And I'm like, well, fair enough. Why not? Um, but it's too many things at once. I say that mostly. That's a joke. That was a joke, by the way. That's a joke, by the way. But it's too much stuff. So like I'll stay up to ungodly hours of the night drawing and have to wake up and go to these social things with these people because I'm visiting home and you got to do that when you visit home, at least a little bit. And then I get myself into trouble and I become a little bit of a cranky demon, I guess. All right, how long have we been going for here? Let's take a look. We don't want to overstay our welcome here on the youtube.com. Hour and a half? All right, we'll go for a little bit longer. So, yeah. Go for a little bit longer here. So what I'll say is if you want to embrace more freedom in your character design process, you got to think holistically, which means that your processes of thought are over time continuously refined, worked on, examined, perfected, so that when you show up to, do your idea, you are not caught with your pants down, unable to either technically execute or unable to understand the concept that you're actually drawing, which happens a lot. People don't understand what they're drawing. The long-term viewers of the stream will remember the concept of katana girl that I was very, very critical of in my early streams, where I would talk about this idea of you get a very attractive female character and you give that character a katana. And that's the design. That's the character design. And if you look on Instagram or ArtStation or wherever you want to look for character design and like look at kind of a lot of the drawings people do, and you come across some katana girls, You'll notice, dude, it gets a lot of attention. People like that stuff because the subjects are really interesting, just inherently, right? So katanas are cool and beautiful women are cool. You know, for marketing, if you want to sell something to men, you use beautiful women. And if you want to sell something to women, you use beautiful women. It's like a long, very established marketing technique. So Katana Girl is the perfect blend of something kind of esoteric and strange juxtaposed with the most universal, um, you know, symbol of wonder, which is the gorgeous woman, you know. So if you're relying just on the novelty of those things, like a katana with a beautiful girl, you're not really engaging in design. You're just kind of you know, mixing milk and honey. Like it's gonna taste good, but it's not like original. It's not like an actual thing, you know. Um, so you want autonomy over your thought process and your design process. You don't want to be restricted or bound to um, any one school of thought. So there you go. And says you seem interesting, entertain me. Yeah, honestly, a little bit sometimes. Says I do not have this problem. That's really funny. ERWIN17 says, as a beginner, what would you recommend me? Buddy, I have no idea. I don't know who you are. I don't know what kind of beginner you are. I don't know what you like. Draw a lot. Draw a lot is what I recommend you to do. Um, that's my prescription to you. Grushkull says, I call it airing out your personality when you have to crawl out of your dark cave to breathe fresh air and socialize. True. True, true. Larissa Paula says, will the live be available to watch later? Well, if the past has anything to do with the future, which it so often does, my dear, the odds are highly in your favor that the recording of this stream will be available to watch at a later date. Possibly, if we're all lucky, pretty much immediately after the stream ends, it'll be available to watch. And on top of that, what's pretty cool is there's a backlog of like over 80 live streams you can watch as well on my YouTube channel, which is pretty cool. But by the way, guys, don't forget to absolutely pummel that like button. Annihilate the like button, guys. Don't when the video goes up, don't forget to drop 1 million comments going, wow, 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 wow. Such good discourse. um, 1783 says, I tried your brush technique you showed with coloring the clothes, and I'm loving it. Oh, I'm loving that you're loving it. That's awesome. Taz says double points if it's a Japanese school girl. Oh, so true. With the katana girl, so true. Keegan says give a kid a sword, but don't make it katana girl. Yeah, exactly. Um Spaggy says try drawing a katana girl. Dude, it's fun. I have drawn a katana girl. It's fun. Don't do it. Restrain yourself. Have some gosh darn restraint. Ryan says explore the many wonders joy and joys art has to offer. So true. I defrost my work personality at 8 a.m. So real. Teletho says, have you read Art and Fear? It's been really good after reading The War of Art. I've read The War of Art. I can't remember if I've read Art and Fear. It's possible. O says, just started first year at Sheridan College for animation. Do you have any advice for networking or advice in general? Dude, just draw so much and just love every second of it, man. For networking, I'm about to give you guys the best advice ever for networking. Artists know you're bad. Artists who are good, they know that you're bad. You cannot bluff a professional artist that you have more skill than you actually do. So just don't even try. Don't even try being like mysterious or like I'm so cool or anything like that. Don't even try that. Acknowledge the fact that this person can just see right through you and embrace it, because that artist was at some point in time just like you. You know, there is no artist who exists that can draw extraordinarily well who did not put in an ungodly amount of time and effort into perfecting their craft and developing their skill. So, if you are somebody who wants to associate with artists who are very good, you know, for the purpose of like sharing in knowledge, discovering about, you know, their process and learning about even your own process through discussion and having real true friends that'll be there for your whole life. Don't try and front that you have more knowledge or skill than you do. From my experience as somebody who's passed through the crucible of being really bad to being like pretty decent, um, the second you get good, like you'll know. Like people will let you know. And like all of your professional friends who are really good will kind of all go like, "Oh, nice. You got there. Nice," you know? Because everyone kind of has faith that you'll get there. They don't know that you actually will because you do have to follow through and do it. Um, but they're all rooting for you. But because every single artist has passed through that crucible of needing to really work really hard to acquire the amount of skill that they've been able to acquire, they know what it's like to be a beginner. So if you have a really healthy attitude about art, where you have the confidence in your, it's the confidence in your path. You're like, I want to attain mastery. I'm working really hard every day to attain mastery. Here's what I'm working on today to attain mastery. Um, the artists that you really want to be around will notice that and they'll respect it. And they'll kind of invite you in and kind of be like, oh yeah, come hang out with us, you know, because you're part of the crew, kind of. Because again, just because that they're better than you are now doesn't mean that they weren't once in your position as good as you are, how you currently are. So like have some humility, but don't do the thing of like I'm nothing, you're amazing, and I'm such a small being, and you're such a godlike artist, because that really gives artists the ick. Because again, artists know how hard they work. If somebody kind of comes at them with the energy of like, oh, you're so amazing, and I can never be like you, and I can never do that, and you're so, oh my God, and blah blah blah. It's like it's a real sickening feeling because it's like walking up to like an Olympic weightlifter and going, oh my God, I can never be like you. Like you're so blessed to have like, you know, like the best genetics and just to have all these muscles. And you know, those weightlifters will look at you like you're crazy, you know, because they know what it's like to be in the gym. And the gym is a great comparison because if you have the right attitude in the gym, the super strong guys they'll invite you over and they'll help you out and they'll teach you and all of that stuff. Me as a super yoked, ripped person, of course I have these insights that you can, you know, when you come to my stream, you know I've got insights into the yoked mentality. Um but yeah, the networking stuff is very much like develop a really humble but clear attitude towards growth. Acknowledge how hard your peers work to get to the level that they've gotten to, and strive every day to match that energy, and you will make lifelong friends that you'll cherish like forever. For me, I think my network right now that leaves me the most inspired, it's a few artists that we talk really regularly, and they're like we're all really in each other's corner. And I'll link them currently so you can kind of see some of the folks who are in my life that I really care about. Like Iris Muddy is one. She's amazing. She's a really incredible artist and art director, really skillful and just phenomenal. Another artist that is really near and dear is Misei Seki, incredibly talented, extraordinarily hardworking. Um, Kofi Ofosu, otherwise known as Braku Star, unfortunately lost his Instagram account. He had a huge account, but you can follow him here and check out his work. He's a really amazing guy. Who else am I talking to on the reg? Michael Ralph, an extraordinary plein air painter and really skilled animator, really phenomenal artist, very skillful guy. I talk with him almost every day. These people I talk with almost every day. Other artists who are really inspiring me these days are Alex Henderson. He's a really awesome homie who is he's working in animation, really skilled guy, amazing attitude, really amazing attitude. Another one is Luke Amerlin. I'll put his link as well in the chat too, so you can see. He started animating a couple months ago, and now he's animating for the Yu-Gi-Oh anime. He, like, literally in under a year, he became like a professional animator for Yu-Gi-Oh. It's like nuts. He's so cool. Anyway, those are some people in my life that are super inspiring. And it's like over about 5 years, you kind of collect your really dear art friends. That is not a complete list, by the way. That's like a very trimmed down, like who's off the top of my head. But there's so many people I talk to who really inspire me. And all those connections were pretty much instantaneous on the basis of we're all here for the same reason. We're all doing the same thing. We all want to work incredibly hard and be the absolute best that we can be. And we want to attain the heights of mastery. So there you go. There you go. Let's see, we've got some discourse in the chat. Gross Girl says, it's so easy to treat networking as a pillar / skill that you have to do. It's just meeting people, being friendly. It's true. There's more to it than that, but that's better to start treating it like a social thing, not some kind of career ladder. Oh yeah, no, it's, you're going to end up working with the people who you connect with. So you don't have to force, like you don't want to force friendships or force connections. It's like you're just going to end up working with the people that you're going to end up working with. Just be yourself, and you want to meet the right people. You don't want to act out of desperation. Oh yeah, exactly. The newer artists who project the spotlight onto the professionals is so real. They're just people, man. Yeah, I mean, having like a bunch of conversations, like, do you guys know Zach Retz? I don't get to talk to him as often as I'd like to, but I speak with him like, a few times a year, I guess, and hung out a couple times, and he was like one of the lead guys on Spider-Verse and all that stuff, and he's like the most humble mentality ever. Just like super cool, really amazing guy. And it's definitely one of those things where you go to, an event or something like that, and you run into them again, and you kind of have this idea of like, oh, well, that's Zach Retz. Like, there's no way he remembers me, but he does remember me. And he remembers what we spoke about, and he's like, it's really good to see you. How's everything going? And blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, I'm like low-key homies with Zach Retz. What the hell? Gross Girl says, I remember my family used to tell me, oh, just find out who the art director is and then ask if they're free for pizza. Dude, absolutely. Well, I mean, honestly, like, kinda, like, it's definitely something that you can do. Like, asking if someone's free for coffee, or like, can I take you out to lunch, or, like, you'd be surprised, man. People are very generous with their time. They're more generous than you think they are with their time. Because usually artists who are in that position of like elevated success, they themselves had a lot of help to get there. So typically, if you have the right energy to match, they will match right back. Like, because it's one thing that I think that people don't realize is how willing artists are to help you and help each other. It's just a lot of the times they can't help you because you have made it impossible for them to help you. Like a lot of artists think that they're ready to work in the, let's say, particularly in the animation or games industry, they think they're ready because they want a job. So they think they're ready. Like, imagine if a lawyer went to trial without passing the bar and they don't know the laws, they don't know how the thing works. Like, imagine that if, like, a public defender went up and they had no real law training. They've watched some shows and they have an idea of how it goes and they really want to be a lawyer. So they go up on the stand and they make an absolute fool of themselves and they can't do the job. And they not only cost their firm a ton of money and cause a bit of a disgrace, but the lawyer who referred them to work there also gets in major trouble. Because if you work in the animation and games industry, you're getting paid a lot of money. And if you get paid a lot of money, there are expectations. And artists really want those jobs. But if you don't deliver, the person who recommended you gets in trouble. So if you want a recommendation from an artist to work on a project or something, they're not going to recommend you unless they know you are rock solid and know you're really good and that you can actually deliver. But the odds are you can't deliver, like you specifically, like hypothetical you. Let's pretend I'm talking to you right now, the viewer. You probably can't do it. And I'll explain why. Like, if you wanted to do something like character design, you have to be able to deliver enough correct drawings every single day to satisfy the needs of the production. Can you draw like 10 correct, which means you don't have mistakes, just that? Can you do 10 correct drawings of a character today? And then can you do that tomorrow, the next day, the next day, the next day, make modifications, change, adapt, fix, modify, go over, redo? Probably not, like when I work with mentees, because I have a lot of mentees right now, and whenever I work with mentees who want to work in the industry, I'll oftentimes put them through the actual pipeline of like, hey, let's see if you can do it. And I make them do it. I make them do that process and show up with, what would be enough work. So I'm like, I want 10 pages of sketches by next week, which is like nothing. That's like such a low bar, such a low amount. And rarely can they even show up with like those pages. And those pages, they're never good enough. Like, and that's not to be like disparaging or anything. What I'm mostly talking about is that people who want to work in some kind of entertainment industry have this idea that they really want a job and it would be great for them to get the job. But if you got hired, you'd be fired in like a week because you probably do not have the actual hard skills to do the job. Um, we just got so dark. I apologize for going so dark, but whenever networking comes up, I feel like that always is a thing that you have to remember, which is that you got to really be realistic about whether or not you can actually do the job. When I was pushing for getting into industry work myself, that was something that I was hugely focused on, which was I put myself on a schedule where I had to finish designs every single day. And I put myself on a really rigorous schedule where I was finishing character designs every day, start to finish, every day. New idea, start to finish, boom, boom, boom. And I got really good faster because I put myself through that level of intensity. So, like, if you want to train for the industry, you have to actually work like you're already in it, which means you're on that schedule of creating and finishing designs every single day because that's what the job is. If you're a character designer, you design characters from 9 to 5, and there are expectations for how much you do and the quality of it. The bare minimum being that you don't have mistakes, which is like really hard to just draw correctly. It's a hard thing already to draw correctly, even without all the extra stuff. I don't know if you guys want to be hearing about all this. It just kind of sprung from my mind. I feel like maybe I went a little too hard there. I say all that because I really care. I care about people, and I know a lot of people feel stuck because they're like, if only I had a chance. If only I had a chance to work on something cool and actually work on a video game. If only I had the chance to do it. You probably can't do it. That's why no one's giving you the chance, is because they can see that you can't do it, but maybe you can't see that you can't do it. And at a certain point, you have to let go of the kind of quote main character idea in your mind of like, I'm gonna get the job and I'm gonna do amazing stuff. It's gonna be great, you know? And it's like, no, man, you gotta prove it, and then the people will come. Every time I've gotten freelance work for industry stuff has always been after an intense period of doing work just for myself, like really just for myself. And people see it and they go, oh, you're doing it. You're doing the process of like creating story and designing and this kind of thing. Like, come do that for us. They need to see that you're doing it in order to actually feel confident enough to hire you. Because let's say you're getting paid like, like 400 bucks a day, which is like, it's good for a start. First of all, it's really good. If you're starting and you're getting 400 bucks a day, that's really good. Um, Usually you'll be closer to like 200 or 250 a day if you're starting. That's like typically what's going on. But let's say you're getting paid like 400 a day, right? Let's just say that. Um, Imagine paying somebody $400 a day. Like imagine giving them that money. What do you expect them to do? Like a few vaguely incorrect drawings of like derivative characters that aren't good for your project? No, dude, you don't want that. You don't want all that. You're not gonna hire. You're not gonna take a risk on them because they're probably under contract. You're gonna hire them for like 2 weeks or something to get them to do all these ideas, and it's like they don't deliver. You're out multiple thousands of dollars, and you got to explain that to your boss. Like, oh, you got to explain it to the producer. The producer's like, oh, what happened with this person? You're like, they didn't really deliver. It's like, really? It's like, yeah, we had them on for like 2 weeks and they didn't deliver, and now we can't afford a real artist. We can't afford an artist who could actually do the job. Anyway, I'm gonna stop talking about that stuff because it's pretty dark. I feel like I'm like being doomercore right now. I really apologize. Oh, it says thank you for being so realistic. I feel like people usually sugarcoat this topic. Gross Girl says a lot of artists don't want to talk about the hard part because it can be discouraging. Art is hard, and trying to be an artist on top of being in an industry is going to be harder because industries have needs, politics, deadlines. It's true. That's so true, Gross Girl. Oh yeah, dude, speed really is. It's pretty important. Another thing to consider is that like, you know, people who train to be lawyers, let's say you go to school for undergrad, like, let's say in the West, right, in America, you go to school for undergrad, so 4 years in a institution. Then you go to law school, which is more years. Then you take the bar, maybe you pass the bar, you become an associate at some firm or something. And even then you're not doing real work and you're learning on the job. So the pipeline to become a lawyer is like close to a decade of time. It's close to 10 years of time before you're actually like, hi, I'm so and so, I'm a lawyer. It's like a long time before that. So if you look at the parallel of art, art is just as hard, if not harder, than becoming a lawyer, which means that you are looking at that 10-year block of dedication. You're staring down the barrel of that time period and kind of like potentially, you know, coping and kind of going like, oh no, I think I'm pretty good. I think I actually know what I'm doing. I think I actually, it's we have no institutions to, keep people out. We don't have institutions that are the crucible like law school or medical school. So you have to be self-sufficient and push yourself, which is like one of the hardest things you can do in life, man. Okay. Ryan says dark but spitting facts. I suppose so. Yeah, you got to work harder, man, because if you want to be a professional artist, you have to basically do the workload of becoming like a world-class lawyer or like a doctor. Like you are learning and memorizing and you're pushing yourself to that level of dedication and intensity. But that's if you want to. Like that's if you want to do that. A lot of people love art and they don't love it like that. It doesn't possess them like that. And that's not a bad thing. And a lot of artists get defensive. Like, no, no, no. I am a psycho who wants to like do art and like, force myself to choose a highly volatile career. I am like that. It's like, dude, like It's not as flattering as you think it is, you know, when you actually look at what it is to pursue art, it's like I'm an unbelievably needy person who absolutely must express my creativity and my imagination at all times of the day. Otherwise, I die. And it has to be my income because I can do nothing else, you know? Like, it's not a good position to be in life, all things considered, you know? Like, the people who just enjoy art kind of as a hobby are, I think, like, honestly, the winners, to be honest. Or, like, they're really enjoying art, you know? Um, for me, it was always my destiny to become an artist. So it's like I had no choice in the matter. So I had to make it count. Like I had to really go for it because no one was coming for me, man. No one was gonna go like, "Oh, by the way, you know, come work at my company, come work at dad's company, come do this, come do that." Like no one was gonna come for me, dude. There was no other salvation for me than art. So I'm in it, man. I'm in it for life, and I love it. It is like my heart's desire. It's my whole world, and it's the most interesting thing on the planet. And I will always enjoy the pursuit of knowledge in art and design. But if you want to work in the entertainment industry, it's like being an athlete and training for the Olympics. Like you got to really dedicate yourself to the craft and be like more proactive than you've ever been in your entire life. Like you can't just get by on YouTube tutorials. You have to really study, really, really study. Um, anyway, anyway. Also, you know, the industry stuff, like to be completely honest, like it waxes and wanes with the economy. Like the economy is in a really dark spot right now. So there's no entry level jobs right now in the entertainment industry. So it's like you do just have to be really good. So if you're practicing art right now with the intention of being an industry person, you have to acknowledge the fact that you're training for a goal that is like a lifelong goal. It's like you're training up to it, you know, when the studios open back up, when new projects come, when stuff opens up, like you'll be ready and you'll kind of be good to slot in there. But until that happens, it's really tough out here, man. And if you're starting out and you're still looking at those multiple years until you get really good, there's just not a lot of ways to actually earn a livable income, you know, off of art, let's say. Uh, However, you know, having said that, um, there are always ways. There's always cool things you can do. Uh, I realized at a certain point that my love for art goes so far beyond the kind of all the industry stuff, and it goes so far beyond like the pursuit of an art career. Like my love for art is my love for life, like the same thing. And when I realized that other people feel the same way. And there are thousands of people every single year discovering their passion for art, and they're completely alone in the cold, unable to progress efficiently or like unable to progress in a way that actually facilitates sustained and successful growth. They're just kind of where they are in the world with whatever art education is out there, which is usually very lackluster. And that's why I stream, because I want to be the voice that I never had when I was learning, you know? I want to be the person kind of standing there going like, you can do it. It's incredibly challenging, but you can do it, you know? Like you can learn this thing. You can learn anatomy, you can learn perspective, you can learn color theory, you can learn lighting theory, you can learn all that stuff. You can do it on your own. Like you can do it because you're curious. You know, you don't need a perfect tutorial to learn how light works. Just go outside and look around. A little bit of an oversimplification, but you know. Anyway, we got so deep today. It's crazy. You know, I've been doing this a lot where I have a theme for a stream idea and then we start going live. People ask some really deep questions and it just activates me, dude. You guys activate me, man. You guys make me like go like, "Quing," you know? Anyway. Yeah. Um, okay, so O says, do you think taking a master's for animation is necessary? Well, I will tell you what is necessary for having a successful career in animation. If you want to be an animator, you need a really good demo reel of animation to show that you know how to animate, you're really good at it, and here's all the examples of you executing your technical, and theoretical knowledge of animation. So the demo reel is the most important thing for animation. If you want to work in animation, like as a biz dev artist or as like a background painter or like, a layout artist or like you're designing assets or something like that, or you're doing character, then the most important thing is that your portfolio shows the absolute peak of your skill and what you're capable of. Your portfolio shows your capacity. The degree, I've never once been asked for a degree in any of the freelance work that I've done. Ever. Never once have I ever been asked for a degree. My degree's on my LinkedIn, which I don't really use, to be honest. I probably should, but I don't really use LinkedIn like that. But hey, guys, go find me on LinkedIn, guys. I think it's on my link tree, so you should go all bomb my LinkedIn. Go connect with me on LinkedIn. Really freak me out about it. Anyway. Oh wait, guys, go follow me on Instagram because I'm about to hit what am I about to hit? I forgot. Where am I? I'm about to hit a number. I'm about to hit 12K, guys. I'm so close. You guys have to all go follow me on Instagram so that I can do a draw this in your style because I really want to do another draw this in your style. I haven't done one since like 3K. Abysmal. Anyway. Sidetrack. Sidetrack. But what the hell was I talking? Oh yeah, LinkedIn. Yeah, my degree's on my LinkedIn, but I've never ever been asked for my degree once in my life. So necessary? Probably not. But what a master's does is it gives you a set amount of time to really hone your craft. That's what you're paying for. When you're doing a master's, you're basically saying, don't bother me. I'm working on my craft, and I'm going to get a piece of paper that says that I worked on my craft for a year. And if you ever want to work at an institution of higher learning, like a university, or you want to work overseas, having a master's is really good. Is it worth going into six figures of debt? It is not worth going into six figures of debt for any reason, unless it's like an asset or unless it's a job that is guaranteed to be able to pay back the thing. Like if you're going to like medical school or like, even law school can be a gamble these days. But even engineering can be a gamble. But yeah, it is not worth it to go into mass debt in order to learn how to draw. That's like insanity. Don't do that. If you can get a scholarship, amazing, amazing, amazing. Or if you can go somewhere that's cheaper. So, story for me, to be honest, is my tuition for art school was it was £6,000 a year. That's British currency, 6,000 a year, for 3 years. So my total cost for my degree was really low. Was it six? It might have been nine, actually. I think they raised it when I went. It might have been nine. I think it was nine. I think it was nine. Let me see. Yeah, it's about nine. Okay, yeah, so it's nine. So all in all, my tuition was underneath 30K for my honors degree, whatever the hell that means, which was awesome. It's an amazing price. That amount is like one semester at like a school like RISD in Rhode Island. That's like one semester. So multiply that by two and then multiply that by four. That's how much it costs to go to art school at RISD. And it's like, who knows if you'll get a job? And who knows if you'll get a job that could ever wipe away that debt? Insanity, man, insanity. So, history lesson. I'm going to tell you guys why art education or education costs so much in the West. The reason that art education or just education in general in the West costs so much is because at a certain point in history, the government decided to try and make education available for people um, by providing a loan, by saying like, hey, if you can't afford the upfront cost, because it is expensive, university is expensive, It's like a few $1,000s to go to university, guys. It's pretty expensive. If you can't afford it up front, we are going to provide a loan. The government's going to guarantee it, which is a big deal when the government guarantees a loan. And, you guys can pay it back later after you get your degree and you're able to get a job. You attain higher education and, you're able to go out there and get a job. So the university saw that and they went, oh my God, the government is guaranteeing this loan? The government? So we can accept the student. They don't need to have any money and we'll get their full tuition. That's amazing. Oh, also, here's another thing, fellow educational cronies. Here's another thing, my fellow educational crony. Um, I have it on good authority that we are the gatekeepers of employability in the West. So if anybody wants any kind of good job, they need to get a degree. So we have this magical combination, which is that the government basically has unlimited resources to give out these loans because of the Federal Reserve, all that stuff. They just have a ton of money. And the universities can basically name their price and go, I wonder if people will pay an extra $1,000 for education. Like, do you think they'll do it? Let's see. Everybody did. And they're like, wow, guys, they're paying this tuition. This is incredible. Let's see if we can up it more. And they up it more. And they go, guys, infinite money glitch? Question mark. We can keep raising the price. Now it's north of 6 figures to go to university for 4 years. North of 6 figures, oftentimes double 6 figures. What? Are you crazy? North of 6 figures for like a sad lady in a sweater to talk to you about Mesopotamia for an hour every week? Are you joking? That's lunacy. Here's the best part. The teachers don't get paid squat, dude. They don't get paid squat. It all goes to the endowment. It all goes to the shareholders, the board, and they take millions, dude. These institutions take so much profit. These people who the administration who runs these schools, so they're taking all your money, dude. They're taking everything they're taking your money and all the future money you will ever have in life, and the prices are just going to keep going up because people keep paying them because people need a degree. So what's interesting is that people are recognizing, oh, people can't afford to get degrees anymore. So now they're looking more at quality. Oh, double. Here's another thing that happened. Raise the price of education. The education is the barrier to entry to get a job. So naturally, we got to, if we kick this person out of school, they won't give us the rest of my government money. I want my government money. So why would I kick you out of school? So I'm going to make it impossible for you to fail out of school. You have to work unbelievably hard in order to fail out of university or college or whatever. Like, it's extraordinarily challenging to fail out of college or university. They will just give you every opportunity under the sun to stay because, hey, some more government money, which is your money in the future for your entire lifetime. So what's so cool about that is you enter into a contract of indentured servitude where you can barely pay the interest on your catastrophically enormous loan. So you just can't even keep up with you can't even make a dent in your student loans because you can barely pay the interest. And you're locked out of a job that can actually pay you real money because the economy's kind of in the tank. And they kind of lied about needing a degree for all that stuff. So good luck, guys. Bet you weren't expecting that rant in a character design live stream. Good God, we've barely drawn. We've just been ranting. Dude, I'm such a hater. Oh God, I'm turning into Steven, dude. I'm going evil mode. Guys, trust me, drawing is really fun. Art's really fun, and there's actually plenty of ways to make money with art. It's not as dire as people make it seem. Like, there are plenty of ways to become a very successful artist, just so you guys know. Anyway. Oh man. Good God, I'm so sorry for that, guys. That's crazy. Ooh, anyway. I really apologize. Ryan says, guys, stop asking questions. Dude, real. So real. Nab says, speaking of speed, do you have tips on getting quicker? I do. The way you get quicker is you practice being fast. What you also do is you want to figure out like the minimum viable path to your end goal, which means having a really clear process. So I know for Nabs, you do a lot of illustration work. So refining your process of illustration is going to help you get quicker by knowing what you do. You maybe you sketch out the composition, you decide the best one, you go and you clarify. Maybe you take a pass at like the no-tan lighting, so you know what your values are doing. Then you go in, you do your clean line art, and then after your clean line art, you're able to do colors and values in a successful way, and it works. But speed comes with experience, but also clarity of process. So when you have clarity of process and you have a lot of repetition experience, you're good to go, guys. You're good to go. Bum, 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 bum. You gonna connect on LinkedIn? Dude, hell yeah, dude. Get me on LinkedIn, guys. Spaggy says, been following you on IG. That's how I found you originally. Oh, that's so cool. The rare Instagram to YouTube convert. That's awesome. O says animation is not getting me out of that debt. Ryan says, bro, no way. Taz says, we have so much free education in my country. I can never imagine it. Yeah, exactly. Their greed sickens me. Oh, dude, their greed beyond, it goes beyond sickening for me. It goes beyond sickening. It's like evil. It is like a deep, deep, deep evil of our world, man. Deep evil of our world. It's crazy. 1783 says the U.S. government should require unis who accept their loans to have a tuition cap. See, that's a great idea. So if you have any ideas on how to get that to Congress, that would be sick. That'd be super sick. Unfortunately, they're all private education, so private education, you have not much you can do about it. Yeah, exactly, Spaggy, exactly. Dude, yeah, yeah. Dude, imagine, you're sitting in front of an 18-year-old and you're like, all right, I'm gonna give you $200,000 and you're gonna pay it back with interest. And the person's sitting there kind of being like, well, how do I pay it back? How do I pay it back with interest? And it's like, oh, well, you get a job that pays like well north over six figures. It's like, oh, how do I get a job that pays well north over six figures? It's like, oh, well, you have to be very, very lucky and you have to have really great connections and you have to be in a specialized industry that actually has jobs where you get paid well over six figures. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Can I like maybe not take the loan and just not have any debt? It's like, no, gotta do the debt, unfortunately. Sorry about that, dude. Gotta do the debt, unfortunately. So the worst thing is the parents, man. The parents are uh the real problem because the parents' view of the world is the same as when they were kids, which is that you get a degree, you get a good job. And the parents they really encourage the kids to go get a degree, man. They really encourage them to get a degree. So man, I'm insanely lucky that I have a UK passport, so I was able to go to get a cheaper tuition overseas. Ooh, yeah, and I wouldn't have gone if it wasn't like doable for me. I wouldn't have not have gone to university if it wasn't possible. If it didn't make it sense financially. I mean, originally I was never even gonna go, but I don't know. My family kind of convinced me, and they made it real easy for me to do it. So I was like, all right, yeah, UK, much cheaper, and living expenses super cheaper. I lived in this town called Norwich in the UK. I went to Norwich University of the Arts, and it was honestly, I really liked it. It was a lot of fun for me. It was a great time in my life. Um, and when I was there, um, my rent was like £300 a month. It was so low. Cost of living, so low. Man, that place ruled. But I just had to fall in love with the most beautiful, smart woman on the face of the earth. I just had to fall in love with a gorgeous, beautiful, wonderful, smart, amazing woman. In New York City, the most expensive place to live in the world, I just had to do it. You know, I embrace life's challenges. Plus, it's not fun if it's not like really excruciatingly challenging. That's why I chose art. You know, you got to choose something that's excruciatingly challenging that no one else can do. You know, art is cool because no one else can do it. Um, like really, like barely anybody can make art and make it look good. It's kind of like almost no one can do it. You know, it's like every guy can kind of play guitar, not really well, but they can kind of play guitar to the point where people are like, "Oh my God, you're so good." But no one can draw. Like no one can draw. Drawing is such a rare skill, dude. And when people find out you can draw and they find out how well you can draw, dude, they go ballistic. It's kind of cool, actually. That's like I've been enjoying that more recently these days. Like I went through a bit of a normie hiatus where I was only spending time with artists, specifically artists like online. I was like spending way too much time with just artists online. And I've been incorporating normies back into my life recently, which has been, it's been good because you're reminded that, oh yeah, you can draw. And that's like a really cool thing that like literally no one else can do, you know? Like the amount of artists that I've met organically who can draw, almost zero. It's a near zero number. I don't know any artists who can draw extraordinarily well that I didn't like, specifically look for, from like an online connection or something. You just don't see artists in the wild that are really good. You just never see them. So it's a cool thing, you get to kind of just be like this weird wizard that everyone kind of looks at. They're like, "How do you do that?" And you look at them and you go, "It's blood magic, dude. Sorry. I made a deal. It's blood magic. Not for you. You're not allowed. Not allowed." My recent thing has been messing with people. So like when people find out I can draw, I'm like I'm like, "Oh, I can teach you to draw, dude." They're like, "No, I could never learn to draw." I'm like, "Dude, I can teach you how to draw in like 3 weeks." They're like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah." Give them hope. It's been fun. It's been a good one. Um, yeah. But you actually can get somebody to a spot where they actually can draw in a span of 2 weeks. They won't be able to draw well for years, but they'll be able to actually draw, which is cool. It's something everybody wishes they can do, you know. Ryan says if I didn't have my parents to live with after school, I'd be utterly cooked. Straight cardboard box scenario and all. Dude, man, it's everybody. Everybody's living with their parents now. Like literally everybody. Even like very successful artists that like everybody's moving back with their parents. Art is like Silk Song. It's true. Art is like Silk Song, except the curve is way steeper. The difficulty curve for art is way more intense than Silk Song. But Silk Song is very hard. Ryan says, real dog. The blood magic part always gets them. It's true. Abe says you offer to draw them before they ask. I'm lucky. People don't really ask me to draw them. They don't really ask me to do that. They kind of know I'll judge them. They kind of know. I have that personality. Like they know I'll be pissed off. So they just don't do it. Nab says, all right, friends, gonna head to bed. Great talk. See ya. Oh, see you, Nabs. Take care. I'm probably gonna head off too, guys, pretty soon. I have to call my lady and prep for tomorrow. But I like this guy. This guy's really fun. He's definitely not as piratey as I want him to be. So we gotta kind of up the piratiness of him, I think. I think it's in the leg. I think it's the posture of the legs isn't quite there. Maybe it's the sword too. There's not enough energy in the sword. So we might have to revisit this one a little bit on the next stream and go from there. Man, I think when I want to focus on like just a topic, I feel like I have to ignore chat. Otherwise, you guys just get me talking about like doomer stuff. But, you know, if I wasn't a doomer, I wouldn't talk about doomer stuff. So I am a doomer, I guess, a little bit, which means it's gonna come out on occasion, here and there. Bound to happen once in a while, I suppose. Can't be too mad. Yeah, art is the best, man. Art is so cool. I've been loving art recently, like so much, like more than anything recently. It's been the absolute joy of my life all over again. I had to recover from my years in the industry, if I'm being honest. It actually was it was not good for me. It did a lot of damage, I think, to me personally. Um, it's really case by case. Each individual has their own experience. You can't ever blanket statement that kind of stuff either. Can't be like, it sucks, it's the worst. It's like it was really hard for me, man. It was really hard for me to have the detachment to know that all the work that I did was for nothing. Like that's really hard to do. Some executive just decides everything you've done, you know, oh, new direction for the project. Oh, new direction, guys. New direction. It's no longer for the age group of 11 to 14. It is now the age group of 5 to 7. So start from scratch, guys. What? From scratch? From scratch? Oh, also, we can't depict anything dangerous because now it's for kids. So no sharp objects, no fire. Okay. No sharp objects, no fire. All right. Oh, this needs to be cuter. This needs to be this, needs to be that. It's like, God damn it. This is not why you hired me, guy. You hired me to do age 11 to 14 content. That's cool. This is baby content for babies. You're gonna make me do baby content for babies? You know, when I say it all out loud, it seems really silly that I got so upset over like all my work not being, you know, all my work being made redundant. But it is hard, man. It's hard seeing your work just not matter because some executive was like, nah, we're gonna go younger age range. No more cool idea, only boring idea, by the way. By the way. Oops, your doomer is showing. Dude, so true. My doomer is showing, guys. My doomer is showing. No, I just feel like artists are very ill-equipped to understand just how cutthroat these industries are and how intense things are. It's like they're very intense. I mean, I have had the kind of dream gigs where it's like really chill and you're kind of just like having fun. But the only reason I was able to do those gigs is because of all the years of grueling training that I spent like getting good at art, you know, to be able to actually do it. If you can't do the art, you can't get hired for the dream gig, you know? Okay. Weird. Oh, that was weird. The heck is oh, there we go. There was some kind of problem. Yeah, man, recently I've just been painting straight. I haven't been really doing any effects layers anymore. It's been really good for me. I would recommend trying it if you guys are curious, just to see how much you know. It's a great way to test how much you know just with the knowledge you have. Like, can you actually paint out a face with the knowledge you have, or do you like desperately need all the effects layers and stuff? Give it a try. See if you like it. Yeah, okay, I know what's gonna make this drawing work. This hand needs to be like like hand out, like blocking somebody. They're gonna have someone behind, and he's like, "Don't worry, I will protect you." So we'll probably extend one foot out a little bit, and it'll be like he's like, "Don't worry, damsel, I will protect you from this fiend." Oh yeah, that's the story. Okay, we figured it out, guys. We figured it out. Um, so we'll probably tackle that next time on, or maybe off stream. I might finish this off stream and go from there. Yeah, this might be an off-screen thing that I do, or maybe I'll like work on it in the Discord or something. Who knows? So, guys, I really need to consolidate the amount of ways you guys can support me because there's too many ways right now for you guys to support the channel and kind of what we do here. So, in an effort to, I am going to be consolidating soon. Like I would ideally like to make the classes and the Patreon the same thing where I'm able to get enough patrons that I can actually afford to continuously run like a class every other month or something like that for the people who are patrons. So like it has to hit a certain critical mass though. So I'm figuring that out. But until all of that comes together, there are multiple ways that you guys can um, hang out, join the team, and all that stuff. So the first way is just by tuning in, man. You guys are here. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys get something of value out of it. From my end, I always just try to talk completely honestly and authentically with you guys. That's like my number one thing with when it comes to art and all that stuff. And just like share everything I know and my love for art and any insights that you guys want to know from my experience. The other way you guys can support is by subscribing to the Patreon. It's only $3 a month, and you guys get access to the awesome community Discord where I'm like there a lot, talking with you guys in the chat, both in the voice chat and the kind of text stuff. You guys can see what I'm working on and everything. We do some design challenges in there too, some world building projects and whatnot. The other thing you can do is you can get the brushes. So the brushes are in the description. So if you guys want to use my brushes, you can get those. And lastly, but not leastly, the most important thing is that we're running a class, baby. We're running a really cool, awesome, amazing, dynamic class for costume design. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be 4 weeks. Let's see if we can pull this up here so you guys can see. I wonder if I can change the thing to be the thing. I wonder. Let's see if I can show you guys. Here we go. So if you guys want to take the class, we have the page here. So bam, bam, pretty fun, pretty spectacular stuff. It's going to be a 4-week class. In week 1, we're focusing on story, coherence, and shape design. So going over some pretty important fundamentals when thinking about both world building and costume design. In week 2, we're going to be going over structure, material, laying form on the body. So you guys are going to learn a lot more about rendering and materials. You're going to learn about how things are structured, specifically clothing and just other things as well, and how the body kind of is affected by things being on it and how you actually wrap clothes around a body effectively, because it's an important thing to learn. Week 3, we're going to go over research, historical influence, and world building from scratch. So learning how to just explode with ideas, out of seemingly thin air, and learning how to be a lifelong learner, constantly be in a state of research and really learning how to research. Week 4, we're going to go over bulletproof world building process and having fun with drawing. And during week 4, we're going to be doing a group world building project where everyone's going to be working on the same IP. It's going to be really fun. And you guys are going to be learning my process for world building and just doing a ton of drawing. So if you guys are looking for a crucible to pass through, something really, really hard that's going to really challenge your artistic skills, you can get it at a fraction of the cost of what it would normally be. Oh, you got the, oops, unfortunately. Okay, well, that's a bit of an accident. We have the discount on the screen. So I guess if you're a lucky watcher, you can apply this discount to your thing, I guess. I'll just leave that in there. Anyway, there's 3 feedback spots left, so they're almost all gone. No more insane overkill mentorship spot, and the standard admission is the best value, absolute best value. So if you guys are looking for a really fun opportunity to learn design, definitely check that out. Without further ado, I think we're probably going to go ahead and wrap it up now. So we didn't get super far with our sketches today, but we went through and looked at, my process and my thinking for a lot of these original faces. We kind of went through and looked at, some of the technical stuff that I was doing to approach it, and we were starting to apply that here. So we're probably going to revisit this guy in the next stream, and we'll be able to get some process there, infuse some story, and get a good looking outcome. So it's been a fantastic couple hours. How long has it been? Yeah, about 2.5 hours. It's been a fantastic 2.5 hours, guys. You guys have been fantastic and lovely and wonderful. I always love hanging out with you guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. You guys rule. I always say to my friends, I have like the absolute best community ever, and I'm so lucky. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Let's take a look at the chat really quick. Man, the red cape says, what is your favorite brush to use? Well, for these ones, I've been using the Ideas Guy brush, which I love. But my favorite brush to use is actually the all-rounder one. That one's been really fun because of the hue and color jitter. It's just been a really fun, exciting process for me. So yeah, pretty cool. 1783 says, what skill level should we be at to use this course? The course scales, so the information is good for beginners because it gets you thinking in that process and in that way of thinking, and it gets you drawing at a high level and forces you to draw at a high level, which is really hard. But it's specifically for people who are at an intermediate level who are trying to pierce through the veil into the professional level. Those are typically where my classes are, but it's totally, all my classes are beginner friendly, and I've had great results with beginners. So there you go, man. Yeah, so glad you guys caught it live. This was fun, man. Yeah, I was a little bit sleepy today, I'm not gonna lie. It's late here, and I feel bad for going so doomer on you guys. Art is fun, everything's fun. Don't be discouraged. It's really cool, and life is good, man. So you guys roll. I love you guys. And I'll talk to you all another time. So I'll see you guys later.